Welcome to Facets of Affinity, your one-stop destination for all things love, engagement and weddings, sprinkled with a generous dose of sparkle. I'm your host, Irene, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be your guide on this fabulous journey. Join us as we explore the art of popping the question, the joy of saying I do, and everything in between. Welcome to Facets of Affinity. Welcome back to another episode of Facets of Affinity. So, you've been proposed to, you've got the ring, and now you need to start planning. First things first, wedding dress. It sets the whole mood for the day. So today I'm joined by Steven to talk all things wedding dresses.
Hello.
Hello,
how are you? Good.
Sorry,
how are you?
I'm too excited to speak with you. Thank you for having us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming into the studio to chat.
It's such a beautiful space. Thank you for having us in here.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Steven, let's start by talking a little bit about how long have you been doing this? Tell us about your journey into bridal.
Well, this is my 30th year.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a long and winding road.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And was fashion always somewhere you wanted to go? Was it always going to be bridal for you?
Yes, from a really young age, from about 6, was very drawn to wedding dresses. I loved watching weddings on TV.
Yeah.
I made the conscious decision to be a wedding dress designer. So I studied fashion, but within that study, I was always gravitating to learning how to make wedding dresses, the techniques of a wedding gown and things like that. Yeah. So, yes.
And is most of that something that's almost a little bit self-taught? Like, obviously you studied design, but is there specific studies in wedding dress design? Or
yes, there is. I had to study, I did a course called Bridal Couture, and in that course they showed me how to make skirts bigger, how to hem these dresses, how to make the bodices. It's a different technique to making like a shirt or an everyday piece of clothing. That's why I don't call myself a fashion designer. Yeah. I say that I'm a bridal gown couture designer, or that I specialise in bridal fashion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things sit differently.
Absolutely.
And they require different volume or whatever.
Yeah, well, mainstream fashion requires different techniques: buttons, buttonholes, loops, hooks, whereas a wedding gown is very different. It's more about beading, detail. It's a lot more technical. You're working with corsetry, more volume in the skirts and lengths in the trains. Yeah. So yeah, I honed in on learning those skills, learning bridal gowns.
So amazing. And so much customization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you are working with someone on a bridal gown, I'm assuming it must start with some form of consultation.
Yeah,
Would
that's
that be
right.
the first step?
Yeah, it's a consultation. The bride sort of talks to me about what she's thinking. We talk about what her personal style is. I think it's really important. I say to the brides, you want your wedding gown to reflect who you are as a person, as well as represent a ceremonial moment that you're presenting yourself to your family, your in-laws, your husband-to-be, often in a church or in front of a celebrant. Yeah. And how do you want to be perceived? How do you want to look? What's the vision for you? So, and a lot of girls don't know who they are as a bride. Yeah. They just know what they see on Instagram, and they go, it's because bridal visually at the moment it's become I feel like it's a little bit commercial and mainstream. Okay, yeah. So it's nice to add elements of fashion into your wedding gown. Yeah. Things that represent you as a person and you as a bride as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. And it's important that you bring that up with the client, because they might not think about it like that.
Definitely.
I think that some ladies sometimes think, oh, I should wear this, or I should wear this, or it's classic and it's timeless, but ultimately it needs to be them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And look, that's where I see a lot of brides struggling, because they visually want it to look like something they see in a campaign or on Instagram or on social media, and it kind of it dilutes their own taste. Yeah. It's like, I don't know who I am anymore. It's like, okay, folks, show me what you wear to a wedding. Show me what you wear every day.
Are they questions that you ask?
I do. Oh. I say, show me how you dress. What is your look? And I'll often say, okay, you wear a lot of strapless. Maybe you want your wedding gown to be strapless. You wear a lot of off the shoulder. Do you love off the shoulder? Let's make the gown off the shoulder. A lot of those things click them into what they love and helps them remember what their style is.
That's so great. That sounds so helpful.
Yeah.
And would you say that there's one particular style of bridal dress that's really evolved over time to become a staple? Like, is it the strapless, or is it a corset style dresses? Is there one that you think really stands out?
I think the one thing that stands out for me within bridal fashion is the full skirt. Bodices tend to sort of be, they stay the same or they change a little bit. But I think one thing that is a given and is like pretty prominent throughout time is the volume of a full skirt for a bride.
Yeah.
And
sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Do you often have ladies come in who think that they want a slimmer fitting silhouette but go with the voluminous skirt?
We do, but then you get that one girl who is just a fitted gown wedding girl, and she's never going to wear a full skirt.
Yeah.
So you do get the one that's open to it, and the ones that are open to it tend to gravitate towards it because it's something they can never wear again. And it's such a moment, isn't it? Yeah.
What about both? Do you do a lot of, or not a lot, but do you do detachable?
We do,
skirts?
although I try to get the girls to maybe not do the back skirts as much, but I do love them. But I do feel like we're phasing out of that scene at the moment, and we're moving into more a romantic era of bridal, full skirts, classic romantic sort of feeling.
Yeah. And do you think, again, it's social media and celebrities that are driving that trend?
Definitely. Well, whenever you look at celebrities, they always gravitate to very classic wedding dresses. Sophia Richie, Olivia Culpo, is it? She wore that high neck, just crepe dress.
Yes.
They always revert back to looking very traditional, very bridal.
They do, and even if it's not really them.
That's right, because it's a moment that you can't get back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And looking like a bride is, to me, it's paramount. It's your one moment to do this.
Yeah.
Whether you get married once or 5 times, your first wedding dress is your golden moment to be the bride, and then the rest, whatever happens,
And after that one moment, do you notice? I feel like there's a bit of a trend at the moment in brides changing into some sort of after dinner dress, party dress.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Almost every bride says to me, I want to change into... And we get the odd bride that just stays in her wedding gown all night.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of brides that want a sort of fashion moment throughout the night, and they change, and I offer different ideas with the one dress,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like adding something to it and taking that off and things like that.
Yeah, starting with a base dress and then being able... No, that sounds like a really great idea. And then beyond the consultation point, how many fittings and appointments are most of your brides going through with you? Does it vary depending on the dress?
Yeah, it does. And it depends on the service they choose. We offer our Maison collection, which is available worldwide, and the dress is made to size.
Okay.
So if you're a size 8, it's straight made in a size 8, and you've got minor alterations, one fitting, you'd leave with the dress. And then the couture process is more extensive, more fittings, more involved, and you have to come in about 4 times. Sure.
And with the Maison collection, does that also mean that they're able to maybe get it dressed in a shorter time period?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And we do offer, we had like about 2 or 3 brides come in the last 3 months, and they've purchased a gown off the rack.
Great.
So they've taken that dress, minor alterations, because they're getting married really soon.
Yeah. Because otherwise, what's the time process like for a couture gown?
We need 6 to 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like most ladies now have that. I hear some girls are choosing their dress before they're even proposed to.
Absolutely. We've got such a wide spectrum of girls getting married in 2 years and then girls getting married in 3 months.
Yeah.
And after pre-COVID, every bride gave us a year. But now they're just rocking up going, I'm getting married in 3 months. This is what they don't want the extensive planning and the extra work and things like that.
Have you always had that Maison collection, or has that come out of...
We started Maison, I don't know if you remember, we had David Jones had a bridal boutique.
I do, actually. We were talking
and we've stocked in London for about 10 years.
So you are international.
So we've did it on a smaller scale, and then now I've taken it globally and made it mass production. For a bigger market.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For certain collections, yes.
Yeah, great.
So it started with London and then David Jones, and we were doing it to David Jones, and now it's just taken off.
Yeah.
So it's been about 10, 15 years. 10 years.
That's amazing. Great. And what do you do to ensure the perfect fit? Do you take time to take into account, for example, your bride's body type and what's going to flatter her? Because not everything is going to work for everyone.
Absolutely. When a bride comes in and let's say there is something that it's not a standard pattern, we'll make a draft of the dress for her and I'll fit that on her just to perfect a masterful fit. But some girls are a standard size and you can just go off the block.
Yeah,
but
right.
it all comes down to your pattern making and your blocks. So.
And will you sit down and go from start to finish with someone in a couture type appointment? Or
Absolutely,
not
we
appointment,
do. Yes.
journey?
We do. Yeah.
Will they come in with ideas and things, or do most of them just say, I want you to make me a dress and give you full creative control?
Look, they come in with their ideas, but they still want to know what we're doing, which I really respect. I always say to the brides, even when a bride says to me, do whatever you want, I say no, because what I think is beautiful, you might not love it. So tell me what you love and leave the rest to me.
Yeah.
And we'll work together because them being happy is really important.
And have you ever had to have like a difficult conversation about you really don't think something's going to work for someone?
Yeah,
but they
absolutely.
Really want, you can do that. Oh,
yeah,
good,
but look,
tough.
it is.
But you don't want them to look back and regret anything.
And it's not super common because I find if a dress is made well and it's done right, people can almost wear whatever almost wear anything. It's just got to be done well.
And the fabric.
And tastefully. And, the fit is more important than the fabric.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
You can have the most beautiful fabric, the most beautiful beading, but if that dress does not fit you well, people don't even notice the beading. They just go, oh, it doesn't sit right on her.
They'll look at
So I master my fit before I do anything to that dress.
Okay.
Before I put a bead on it, before I do anything, because the minute you look at that dress, it's got to be a complete package. So in order to notice the beading, the fit has to be beautiful. So foundation and base is like paramount for me.
And my next question was actually going to be around like, why should a bride choose a custom dress versus buying something off the rack? But it probably comes back a little bit to that.
Yeah, well, I would always say to the girl that chooses custom is if she's not finding what she's looking for within the Maison collection.
Yeah.
But she can also choose Maison pieces and have a custom lace or a custom beading.
That can be built upon.
So that can be built upon.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes I'm a bit like this. I struggle to visualize something if I can't see it.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of girls are like that,
Yeah.
and that's why having the Maison collection is really special and just easier for them to understand it.
Yeah.
And if they say to me, look, I love this dress, but I've seen a lot of it. I don't want to, I love the Mandalay gown, but we've seen a lot. I say, well, your options are you can have it hand beaded, you can add something to it. Tell me, I'll offer them suggestions as to how to change that dress.
Yeah. And what about accessories? Accessorizing a bridal gown, is that?
Yeah, I have my jewelry collection, which is just costume jewelry. It's not like what you guys do, what Sam and Affinity Diamonds do.
Veils and those sorts of finishing touches. I see a lot of cathedral style veils at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you doing
long veils are really popular, detailed veils.
Yeah.
And girls are really opting for really simple veils too now. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we went through a stage where the veils weren't really as popular, but it seems to be coming back. We're going back to those traditions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure that needs to be taken into account when you're designing the dress. It all needs to work cohesively.
Definitely.
Do you do veils?
We
as
do.
well?
We often, every gown has a matching veil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely.
In the Maison collection also?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have a standout dress, Steven, that you've worked on, whether it's celebrity or just, a really special dress?
There's been a few, but a big standout, Kylie Jenner was a huge standout at the time.
Oh.
And then Emily Ratajkowski, she wore one of my pieces off my New York runway, and it was like a sheer black skirt with a bodysuit.
Yeah.
And people weren't doing the bodysuit with the sheer skirt, and it was a real shock moment, and she wore it, and I was like, oh my God, she's wearing the dress. And she wore it with her sheer legs.
Yeah, she's
amazing. It was amazing, and it was just a real moment.
Yeah.
And you know, that photo of her in that dress is just everywhere. Whenever you see Emrata, they always post that photo of her in my gown. And and that was a really special moment.
That would be special always to be able to look back on that.
Yeah.
And any Australian celebrity bridal that you've been involved in?
Yes, we did. Back in the day, I'd made Kate Ritchie's wedding gown when she got married.
Yes, of
She had a
course.
beautiful wedding dress. She got married in Tasmania, beautiful gown.
Yeah.
And Nicole Trunfio, who was the Australian model.
The model, yes.
And she got married in Palm Springs in America.
Oh, wow.
And look, she shopped the whole world for her dress, and she found
there'd be people
her
dying
gown
to
here,
dress them.
and it was beautiful. She chose a piece off the runway, and that was a beautiful moment. She loved that dress, but she was a huge standout. Yeah.
That's so nice. And going back to what you said earlier you mentioned something about London. Tell us a bit more about what you're doing internationally.
Well, we started stocking in London, I'd say, it would be over 10 years ago now. And then I stopped doing that because I wanted to master my production. I said, okay, let's not do that and let's get our ducks in a row, just get everything under control so that we can offer them a better product, a better service. London it's a great market and it's been successful. And the same bridal boutique have picked us up. It's in Knightsbridge, very upmarket, very beautiful. And they were our original stockists, and they are back stocking our gowns again.
That's fantastic.
And it's great.
Yeah. And the gowns come from here, though?
They come from us for the manufacturing, and they go to London, and we QC everything here, quality control and everything from this end, and it goes to London for the brides.
And what about Australian brides getting married internationally? Do you have a lot of your dresses being worn
so many.
in overseas weddings?
Yeah, we sent off at least 30 dresses this summer in European summer for brides. And it's amazing because you see it on Instagram, you get tagged, you're like, oh my God, she got married. Or even with our London stockers, you see brides and I'm like, oh my God, she's wearing my dress, but I've never met her, never seen her, don't know anything about her, and she's purchased this dress and there she is in the gown.
What an honour, so special. And do you take that into account when you're working with someone who is getting married, for example, in summer in Italy?
Yeah.
Fabric choices and so on, is it different? Do
Absolutely.
you approach those designs differently?
We do.
Yeah.
We often try to make it a little bit lighter for travel because they're flying with the dress.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes the girls say to me, no, do your thing. I don't care. I'll carry it. I just want my dream dress. Sure. So it just does depend on the client and what they tell us they need.
Yeah, but you might have recommendations. But whether they take it on board
you don't want to be in Italy carrying a really heavy gown, but some heavy gowns look really beautiful, like the ruffles and the layers and the romance. So we just try to use lighter bases just to make it a little bit more airy and romantic so that they're not lugging around a heavy gown. It's important that they look light and effortless.
Have you ever been a guest at any of these?
Definitely, yeah.
I've seen photos of you helping to dress some of your brides. So I just wondered, does
I
that
get
happen?
flown all over the world sometimes, some years. Some years no.
Yeah.
But this year I was flown to Italy for a beautiful wedding. And it's really nice.
Yeah, that's so special to be part of
so
that. So
special.
Moment. Oh, that's so lovely. Do you have, or do you think there is a Steven Khalil signature style in your boutique?
I would probably say the signature Steven Khalil style, if it's not a dress, it would be just romantic, just that the bride looks romantic and classic and really beautiful.
And do you think that that's mostly achieved with things like lace and beading?
Definitely, yeah. I'm loving classic laces at the moment, and I just love classic bridal.
Where do you source most of your laces?
Always French and Italian, and we produce our own fabrics as well.
Oh, you do?
We do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you go overseas to source these things, or do you?
A lot of it comes to us now.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, it does.
So you see a lot of girls when they are newly engaged, they're all showing off their rings to you?
They do, and I love seeing the engagement rings. I think the engagement ring is such a special thing too because it reflects the bride, and I'm like, okay, what would she choose as an engagement ring?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite? What's your favourite diamond shape?
I do. My favourite would be like a very fine gold band with like an oval.
Yeah, an oval solitaire.
But it would have to be a nice size.
Fair enough.
Not too, And I've also loved, is cushion cut still a thing?
Absolutely. Elongated cushions are really popular.
Is it?
Yeah.
And is that
Probably.
Is that beautiful in the diamond world?
It's beautiful and definitely trending in a good way.
I remember in the past loving the cushion cut ring. And every time I'd see it, it kind of has got like an old world feel to it, doesn't it?
It does have a bit of an antique elegance to it, which makes sense with you and your style. So that's very on brand.
So the cushion cut is pretty up there.
Oh, good. Beautiful taste, but that's not surprising. When you have someone attend for their first visit, what should they be bringing with them?
For their first fitting, I often say to the brides, wear your hair up. Okay. Bring a hair tie, because I can't. It's just I like the hair out of my way so I can see their shoulders and do my fitting, and I don't have to always be pushing their hair aside. Yeah. And obviously your shoes. So
they should have an idea of.
Yeah, you should have an idea of the height you're going to wear. Okay. I always say to the girls, don't bring in your wedding shoe because I want you to take your time and find your dream shoe. Yeah. But just bring in the height you're going to wear and stick to that height. Yeah. And what else would they need to bring? That's about it, really.
Should they be bringing people with them? Do you like how many people? Is it overwhelming?
Yeah, I always think 3 to 5 people is nice. Yeah, but we've had girls bring in like 8 people, and it really is too much. And it clouds the fitting, and it clouds their judgment, and it's a lot.
It's a lot of opinions.
It's a lot of opinions.
And ultimately, she looks beautiful. So just tell her she looks beautiful. That's all that matters. I'm sure she does.
I know.
Yeah.
And you can just feel there's too much. There's a lot of energy, and I think with a bride, it's best to keep it really compact. Yeah. And surprise everybody on the day.
Yeah, that's true. And what about makeup? I was watching a TikTok actually recently of a girl. She was going off to one of her final fittings, and she did like a full face of makeup for this fitting because I guess she wanted the final feel. Yeah. Do you worry about makeup getting on gowns when they're coming in for initial appointments?
We do, but nowadays the girls step into the dresses. Yeah. So nothing's touching the faces or
so we can wear
like that. So you could wear makeup, yeah. Okay. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, great. So, Steven, can I get your opinion or your advice on bridesmaid dresses?
Yeah. Look, I think bridesmaids are really important because that's their title. They're your maid, and they're there to help you pick up your train, fix your veil, make sure that you're perfect all day. So I think comfort is really important for bridesmaids, and a dress that they can be there to support you in, be able to bend down if your train is messy, fix your train when you're at the altar. So comfort and not high splits and anything that they can't bend down in or do their work in to help you out,
That's such an important take. I'd never thought of it like that.
It's so important. And I think people focus more on the fashion aspect of a bridesmaid instead of the function. Yes. And I remember one bride showed me her wedding photos, and I said to her, wasn't someone there to fix your train because your gown's really messy in all the photos? And she said, I know, but my bridesmaids couldn't bend down in their dresses or do anything. And I thought at that moment, it was like a light bulb moment. And I thought, making your bridesmaids comfortable in their gowns and functional, that they are there to help you. And I always say, appoint a head bridesmaid and say, your job is to make sure that my dress looks really beautiful at all times, that my train is spread at the altar, that my veil's not twisted. All those little things are so important because you've paid money for a photographer and, someone's got to be looking out for you.
And so many of those monumental photos are taken from behind often, or you're walking in or up steps or whatever it is. So
and I often say to the girls, bring a bridesmaid in so I can tell her what to do. And I'll say, this is what you do when she's at the altar. Spread the gown, fix the veil, make sure there's no leaves or, just be there for her. Be the bridesmaid,
and helping the bride get dressed on the day. Like with certain dresses, they must be a bit...
Absolutely.
I don't mean this in any way to say it's an issue with the dress, but more technique sensitive to put on, for example.
Absolutely. And I always say to the girls, bring your strongest bridesmaid that knows what to do, that she's going to get in there, squeeze that zip, know what to do, and be a bit fearless,
Speaking of strong, how heavy can some of these dresses get?
Oh, look, they're not too bad now. Okay. They're getting better and better, but in the past, these really beaded gowns were quite heavy.
Yeah. I was just thinking like layers and layers of fabric. I didn't even think about the beads.
Yeah, the beading is what, the beading and the structure of the gown adds to the weight,
Does anyone still have hoops?
No, we build ours all in, so no.
I had
no
a
more
hoop with
hoops.
my wedding dress.
I hope it was one of those bendy ones
It
that
was one of
collapsed
those
when you sat. Back in the day, do you remember they used to flip up?
Yeah, no, it was the bend. It wasn't that old, but
Back
yeah,
in the 80s.
I do remember. Oh gosh, it was awful. Anyway, I'm glad those days are gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been so lovely chatting with you today, Steven.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys. It was really fun.
Thank you for having us in here.
Yeah, it's fun. Well,
We'll have to catch up again one day in the future.
definitely. And I hope that was good.
It was perfect.
Amazing.
It was so easy.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Facets of Affinity. We hope you'll join us in our future episodes where we delve deeper into all things love, engagement, and weddings, sprinkled with a generous dose of sparkle.